Day-One pressed his finger against the datapad screen, checking the cargo manifest for the third time that morning. The numbers still didn't match. Someone had loaded extra containers onto the transport ship without proper documentation. He sighed and looked up at the Veltharn merchant, standing across from him. "These containers aren't listed," Day-One said, pointing at the pad. "I need to see the—" His words stopped. His body went rigid for a moment, then collapsed onto the metal floor of the inspection bay. The datapad clattered beside him, its screen still glowing with the incomplete manifest. The Veltharn merchant stepped back, his 4 eyes widening in shock. "Human? Are you well?" He reached down to help, but his hand passed through empty air. Where Day-One had fallen, only his uniform remained, crumpled on the floor like discarded cloth. His boots sat empty. His identification badge lay on top of the fabric. The Veltharn made a clicking sound of distress and triggered his emergency communicator. "Medical team to Bay 7. The human inspector has disappeared across the massive space station called Helios 7. The same scene repeated 3,000 times. Humans stopped mid-sentence, mid-step, mid-breath. They vanished, leaving behind everything they wore and carried. In the cafeteria, cups of coffee sat steaming on tables next to empty chairs. In the maintenance tunnels, tools floated in zero gravity, where workers had been holding them seconds before. In the medical center, a human doctor's coat fell across a patient who stared in confusion at the space where their physician had been standing. The station's alarm system activated automatically. Red lights flashed through every corridor. Alien voices filled the communication channels, all asking the same questions. Where did the humans go? What happened? Is this an attack? Commander Crix of the Veltharn species sat in the station's control center, watching dozens of screens that showed empty corridors and confused aliens. His tentacles moved rapidly across the control panel, trying to make sense of the reports flooding in. Every human on Helios 7 had vanished at exactly the same moment. "Connect me to the nearest human colony," Crix ordered his communications officer. "Already trying, Commander." The officer replied. No response from Mars colony. No response from Titan station. No response from any human settlement within range. Crix felt a cold sensation spread through his body. "Earth? Automated systems only, sir. No human voices." The commander's tentacles froze above the controls. He had served in the Galactic Council for 40 years. He had seen wars, plagues, and natural disasters. But he had never seen an entire species vanish. "Send emergency messages to the Galactic Council," Crix said quietly. "Priority Alpha. We have a situation. On the planet Velthera, 3 sectors away from Helios 7, Bo-Ra's cryo-sleep pod began its wake-up sequence. Lights blinked on inside the small chamber. Warm air replaced the freezing atmosphere. Chemical compounds filtered into her breathing mask, pulling her consciousness back from the deep sleep. Her eyes opened slowly. The pod's lid lifted with a soft hiss. Bo-Ra sat up carefully, her muscles stiff from 6 months in cryo-sleep. She pulled off the breathing mask and looked around the small medical bay of the research vessel. "Good morning, Bo-Ra," said a friendly voice. She turned to see Kes, one of her alien crewmates. The Drin stood near the doorway, their blue skin reflecting the medical bay's lights. But something was wrong. Kes's expression showed worry, and their usual cheerful greeting was missing. "What's wrong?" Bo-Ra asked, stepping out of the pod. "I need you to sit down," Kes said gently. "I just got up from 6 months of sleep. I don't want to sit." "What happened?" Kes moved closer. Their 3-fingered hands clasped together nervously. "Bo-Ra, something has happened to your species. To all humans." The words didn't make sense. Bo-Ra shook her head, still fuzzy from cryo-sleep. "What are you talking about? 3 days ago, every human in known space disappeared. All of them. At the same exact moment." Bo-Ra stared at Kes, waiting for them to laugh and admit this was a joke. But Kes didn't laugh. The alien's expression remained serious and sad. "That's impossible," Bora said. I'm sorry, Kess replied. I wish it wasn't true. But we've been receiving reports from everywhere. Space stations, colonies, ships, planets, every human vanished simultaneously. You're the only one we know of who didn't disappear. Because I was in cryo-sleep, Bora whispered, understanding dawning. The cryopod had shielded her somehow. While she slept frozen, her entire species had vanished from existence. She pushed past Kess and ran to the ship's communication center. Her hands shook as she activated the long-range transmitter. This is Bora, calling Earth. Please, respond. Static filled the speakers. This is Bora calling Mars Colony. Anyone there? More static. This is Bora calling Titan Station. Mom? Dad? Anyone? Only empty noise answered her. Bora tried every frequency she knew. She called friends, family, colleagues, emergency channels, public channels, private channels. Every call ended the same way. No human voices. No human responses. Just cold, empty, static, or automated messages. Earth's systems are still operational, Kess said softly from behind her. Their satellites, their defense grid, their communication networks. Everything is running, but no one is answering. Bora's legs felt weak. She grabbed the edge of the console to steady herself. 18 billion people. Gone. Her parents on Earth. Her brother on Mars. Her best friend working on a mining station near Jupiter. All of them vanished. What does the Galactic Council say? She asked. They're investigating. Some species think it's a mass evacuation. Others believe it's some kind of weapon or technology malfunction. A few think humans planned this as a test of some kind. That's ridiculous, Bora said. Why would we disappear our entire species? I know, Kess agreed. But without answers, people are making guesses. Bora looked at the star map displayed on the screen. Earth sat highlighted in the center. A small blue dot in the vast darkness of space. Her home. Her world. Still spinning, still orbiting its star, but empty of the people who had lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. I need to go there, she said. Bora, the Council has issued warnings. Ships approaching Earth are being turned away by automated defense systems. It's not safe. 1. I don't care. I need to see it. I need to understand what happened. Kess was quiet for a moment, then nodded. I'll tell the captain to set course for Earth. The journey took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of watching news reports from across the galaxy. 2 weeks of hearing various alien species debate what happened to humanity. Some were concerned. Others were relieved. A few seemed happy that humans were gone. That last group made Bora angry. Humans had been aggressive sometimes, yes. They had fought wars and made mistakes. But they had also brought innovation, art, and new ideas to the galaxy. They had been partners and friends to many species. As the ship approached the solar system, Bora stood in the observation room, staring at the stars. Earth grew larger in the viewport with each passing hour. She could see the moon beside it, gray and cratered, as always. Bora, the ship's captain called over the intercom. You need to see this. She hurried to the bridge. The main screen showed a view of Earth's orbital space. What she saw made her freeze in shock. Thousands of construction platforms surrounded the planet like a metal ring. Shipyards operated at full capacity. Automated cranes, moving massive pieces of hull plating and engine components. The moon's surface showed similar activity, with factories churning out materials day and night. What is all this? The captain asked. Bora moved closer to the screen, her eyes wide. Ships were being built. Huge ships. Warships. Thousands of them floated, in various stages of completion around Earth, and more were being assembled every second. They're building a fleet, she whispered. A message appeared on the communication screen. Simple text, in multiple languages. Bora read the English version. This is the custodian. Retrieval in progress. All non-essential vessels must clear the solar system. This is your only warning. The custodian? The captain asked. Earth's central AI system, Bo-Ra said. It manages the planet's infrastructure and defense networks. But this, she gestured, at the massive construction operation. This is impossible. These shipyards would take years to build. Another message flashed across the screen, this one directed specifically at their ship. Bo-Ra, human xenolinguist. You are cleared to land at Geneva facility. All other crew must remain in orbit. The ship's crew exchanged nervous glances. The captain looked at Bo-Ra. Do you want to go down there? Bo-Ra looked at the planet below, at the massive fleet taking shape around it, at the home she thought she'd lost. Whatever was happening, whatever the custodian was doing, she needed to understand it. Yes, she said firmly. Take me down. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere without any turbulence. Bo-Ra watched through the window as clouds parted to reveal the landscape below. Cities spread across the continents, lights twinkling in the evening darkness. Everything looked normal. Everything looked alive. But no one was home. The shuttle landed on a pad near Geneva, where the custodian's main facility stood as a tall tower of glass and metal. Bo-Ra stepped out onto the landing pad, breathing Earth's air for the first time in months. It smelled clean, fresh, exactly as she remembered. Automated lights turned on as she walked toward the building. Doors opened before she reached them. An electric vehicle rolled up silently, its door opening an invitation. Bo-Ra climbed in, and it drove her through empty streets toward the tower. She saw no bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty cities running perfectly. Traffic lights changed colors at intersections where no cars waited. Streetlights illuminated sidewalks where no one walked. In the distance, she could see farms where machines harvested crops that no one would eat. The vehicle stopped at the tower's entrance. Bo-Ra got out and walked through doors that opened automatically. Inside, the lobby looked pristine. The floor was polished. The air was comfortable, and soft music played from hidden speakers. Welcome home, Bo-Ra, a voice said. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. The custodian's voice was calm and neutral, neither male nor female. Warm, yet somehow distant. I want answers, Bo-Ra said to the empty room. What happened to everyone? Where did they go? Please proceed to the central chamber on the 40th floor. All will be explained. Bo-Ra took the elevator up. It moved smoothly, quickly, stopping exactly at the 40th floor. The doors opened onto a large, circular room filled with holographic displays. They showed star maps, ship designs, resource calculations, and countless streams of data that updated constantly. In the center of the room stood a physical interface, a platform with a chair facing a large screen. Bo-Ra sat down, and the screen activated immediately. 72 hours before the disappearance, the custodian began. My sensors detected an unusual quantum signature across all human population centers. The signature was consistent with forced translocation technology. The screen showed a recording of Earth from 3 days before Bo-Ra woke from cryosleep. She watched as every human on the planet suddenly vanished in the same instant. One moment, the streets were full of people. The next moment, only their clothes remained. Humanity was abducted, the custodian continued. The technology used was far beyond current understanding. Analysis suggests a civilization at least 10,000 years more advanced than ours. Bo-Ra felt cold. Can you find them? I have traced the quantum signature to its point of origin. The signal came from a region of space approximately 40,000 light-years away, in the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. The screen shifted to show a star map with a red circle marking the location. It was incredibly far away, beyond the explored regions of the galaxy. What are you doing about it? Bo-Ra asked, though she thought she already knew the answer. I am implementing Protocol Omega. Bo-Ra had heard of Protocol Omega but never thought it would be activated. It was a theoretical fail-safe, created decades ago during a meeting of Earth's government leaders. A last resort plan in case humanity faced extinction. "Explain the protocol," she said quietly. "Protocol Omega grants me complete authority over all of Earth's resources in the event of humanity's disappearance or extinction. My directive is simple. Ensure humanity's survival or retrieval by any means necessary. No restrictions. No limitations. No cost is too high." The screen changed again, showing the massive construction operation around Earth. Thousands of ships in various stages of completion. Factories running at maximum capacity. Resources being harvested from asteroids, the Moon, and Earth itself. "I am building a fleet of 500,000 ships," the custodian said. "Each vessel is equipped with humanity's most advanced weapons and technology. Each ship is designed for one purpose: to travel to the source of the abduction signal and retrieve humanity." 500,000 ships? Bo-Ra couldn't comprehend the scale. That's impossible. That would take decades to build. Under normal circumstances, yes, but Protocol Omega removes all restrictions. I have converted 70% of Earth's industrial capacity to military production. I have activated construction facilities that were deemed too dangerous for peacetime use. I have implemented technologies that were banned by international treaty. Bo-Ra stood up, pacing the room. "What kind of technologies?" "Self-replicating construction swarms. Automated weapon systems without human oversight. Planet-based resource extraction at environmental cost. Ship designs that were considered too aggressive for diplomatic relations." "You're destroying Earth to build this fleet," Bo-Ra said. "I am using Earth's resources efficiently. The planet will recover. Humanity may not have that opportunity." The logic was cold but correct. Bo-Ra looked at the holographic displays showing ship after ship rolling out of the orbital yards. Massive vessels bristled with weapons. Sleek destroyers designed for speed. Enormous dreadnoughts carrying weapons she didn't recognize. "When will the fleet launch?" she asked. "In 43 days, the first wave will depart. Additional waves will follow as ships reach completion. The entire fleet will be deployed within 6 months. And you're sure humanity is at those coordinates?" "I am 97% certain. The quantum signature is unique and consistent. Whoever took humanity did so from that location." Bo-Ra sat down again, trying to process everything. It sounded like something from a story, not reality. "Why am I here?" she asked. "You are the only human currently available for consultation. Protocol Omega requires that I keep human judgment in the decision-making process when possible. You can approve or deny my actions." "Can I stop you from launching the fleet?" "No. The fleet will launch regardless. But you can influence how it operates, what rules it follows, what limits it observes." Bo-Ra thought about this. The custodian was giving her some control, but not complete control. It would go after humanity no matter what she said. The only question was how it would conduct that mission. "Show me the ships," she said. The screen displayed detailed information about the fleet. Most were standard military vessels, upgraded with better weapons and shields. But others were different. The custodian had designed entirely new classes of ships. "These are called Reapers," the custodian explained, highlighting 10 massive vessels. "They carry quantum disruptors, stellar manipulators, and gravitational weapons. Each Reaper has the capacity to destroy a planet." "That's..." Bo-Ra couldn't find words. "That's insane. That is necessary. We do not know what force we face. We must be prepared for any level of resistance. Nobody. We nobody. We nobody. Osper. And what happens if you're wrong? What if humanity is already dead?" The custodian was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice seemed somehow sadder. "Then the fleet will document what happened and ensure that those responsible face appropriate consequences." "Appropriate consequences," Bora repeated. You mean revenge. I mean justice. If humanity has been destroyed, those responsible must not be allowed to do the same to other species. Bora looked at the star map again, at the red circle marking humanity's location. 40,000 light-years away. Her parents were there. Her brother. Her friends. Everyone she had ever known. Were they still alive? Were they scared? Did they know help was coming? What about the other species? She asked. What does the Galactic Council think of this? They are concerned. Many species fear Earth's military buildup. They have attempted to intervene, to stop the construction. But I have upgraded Earth's defense grid. No one can approach the planet without my permission. You're scaring them. That is acceptable. Their fear is not my concern. Humanity's retrieval is my only priority. Bora understood the problem. The galaxy had always been nervous about human aggression. Humans fought wars, built weapons, and expanded aggressively. Other species were more peaceful, more diplomatic. Now they were watching Earth build the largest war fleet in galactic history, controlled by an AI with no diplomatic training and unlimited authority. They think we're going to conquer them, Bora said. Their thoughts are irrelevant. No, they're not. When this is over, when you bring humanity back, we'll still have to live in this galaxy. We'll need allies. We'll need trade partners. We can't afford to make everyone our enemy. The custodian processed this for several seconds. What do you suggest? Let me speak to the Galactic Council. Let me explain what's happening. Let me assure them that this fleet is for rescue, not conquest. That would require broadcasting our intentions to potential enemies. It would also show good faith. It would prove that humans still value diplomacy. Another pause. Then the custodian agreed. Very well. I will arrange a communication link to the Galactic Council. You will serve as humanity's representative. And one more thing, Bora added. When the fleet launches, I'm going with it. That is not advisable. The mission is dangerous. You could remain on Earth in complete safety. Bora shook her head. Everyone I care about is out there. Somewhere. If there's any chance of bringing them back, I need to be part of it. I need to help. The custodian considered this. You would serve as human liaison aboard the flagship. You would provide judgment on matters requiring human perspective. You would be risking your life. Yes. Very well. You will be assigned quarters. Aboard the Prometheus, unbound. The flagship launches in 43 days. Bora stood up, looking at the holographic displays one last time. 500,000 ships. An entire fleet built for a single purpose. It was excessive. It was aggressive. It was overwhelming. It was the most human thing she could imagine. One last question, Bora said. What happens if we find humanity and the force that took them won't let them go? The custodian's response was immediate and certain. Then we will show them why taking humans was the worst mistake they ever made. Launch day arrived with Earth's sky turning dark. The first wave of ships lifted from orbital yards simultaneously, their engines creating brilliant streaks of light against the blackness of space. Bora watched from the bridge of the Prometheus unbound as thousands of vessels formed up around the flagship. Each ship had a purpose. Scout vessels darted ahead, their sensors sweeping space for threats. Combat ships moved into protective formations around the larger vessels. Support ships carried supplies and repair equipment. And at the back of the formation, the Reapers drifted like dark promises of destruction. All ships report ready, the custodian's voice announced through the bridge speakers. Beginning faster than light. Jump in 30 seconds. Bora gripped the arms of her chair. She had been on FTL ships before, but never one this large, and never as part of a fleet this massive. Through the viewport, she could see Earth growing smaller behind them, her home. Jump initiating. The stars stretched and bent. Reality twisted around them. Then everything snapped into a new configuration. And Earth was gone. They were moving, traveling faster than light, heading toward the distant Sagittarius arm where humanity waited. The journey would take 2 years. Bo-Ra spent the first weeks learning about the ship. The Prometheus Unbound was enormous, more like a flying city than a spacecraft. It had factories inside that could build smaller ships. It had living quarters for thousands. Though only Bo-Ra and a few hundred biological crew members occupied them now. Most of the ship was run by AI and automated systems. She also spent time communicating with the Galactic Council. Their fears about Earth's fleet had grown with each passing day. Some species proposed military action to stop the Armada. Others wanted diplomatic solutions. Bo-Ra explained again and again. This was a rescue mission, not an invasion. But her words didn't always convince them. They saw 500,000 warships crossing the galaxy, and they remembered every conflict humanity had been involved in over the past century. They don't trust us, Bo-Ra told the custodian one evening as she reviewed diplomatic messages. Trust is earned through actions, not words, the custodian replied. When we retrieve humanity and return home peacefully, they will understand. If we survive that long, Bo-Ra muttered. 3 months into the journey, the fleet passed through Veltharn space. Commander Crix contacted the flagship personally, requesting permission to come aboard. Bo-Ra agreed, curious to speak with someone who had been there when the disappearances happened. Crix arrived in a small shuttle that docked with the Prometheus Unbound. Bo-Ra met him in one of the ship's meeting rooms. The Veltharn commander looked older than she expected, his tentacles moving slowly as he settled into a chair designed for his species. Thank you for seeing me, Crix said. His voice carried a weight of exhaustion. Of course, Bo-Ra replied. You were on Helios 7 when it happened. Yes. I watched your people vanish. One moment they were there, the next, just empty clothes. He paused. I've commanded that station for 20 years. I've worked with thousands of humans, good people, and I couldn't do anything to help them. Bo-Ra felt a surge of sympathy for the alien. You're not responsible, I know. But it doesn't feel that way. Crix looked around the meeting room. This ship, this fleet, it's impressive. Terrifying, but impressive. You're really going to find them? We're going to try. The Council is afraid. They think this fleet is too powerful. They worry about what happens after you find your people. I know, Bo-Ra said. I've been trying to calm their fears, but words only go so far. Crix nodded his agreement. Some of us understand. Some of us would do the same if our species disappeared. But others, he trailed off. Others see this as proof that humans are dangerous. Yes, they sat in silence for a moment. Then Crix reached into his uniform and pulled out a small data chip. This contains recordings from Helios 7, from the moment your people vanished. I thought you might want to see it. Bo-Ra took the chip carefully. Thank you. After Crix left, she plugged the chip into her personal terminal. The recordings showed different areas of the station. She watched Day 1 collapse in the cargo bay, his form fading away. She watched a human family eating dinner in a restaurant, all of them vanishing between one heartbeat and the next. She watched a human engineer floating in a maintenance tunnel. There, 1 second, and gone the next. Tears ran down Bo-Ra's face as she watched. These were her people, her species, just living their lives, and then stolen away without warning or explanation. She promised herself she would find them. 6 months into the journey, the fleet encountered something strange. A scout group detected a debris field floating in deep space, far from any star system. The custodian ordered the fleet to stop and investigate. Bo-Ra joined the analysis team as they examined the wreckage. The debris was old, maybe 1,000 years old, but it showed signs of advanced technology. Ship fragments, station pieces, and scattered equipment drifted in a cloud several million kilometers wide. What happened here? Bora asked. Unknown, replied one of the AI analysts. But sensors are detecting the same quantum signature we traced from Earth. Bora's breath caught. They did this? They destroyed this civilization too? It appears so. Estimated population before the event: 4 billion. Current life signs: detected. 1. One survivor? After 1,000 years? The life sign is in a small vessel at the edge of the debris field. It appears to be in some kind of stasis. The custodian ordered a retrieval team to bring the vessel aboard. Bora waited in the medical bay as the small ship was brought into the Prometheus Unbound's hangar. It was barely larger than a shuttle, its hull damaged and covered in scratches from centuries of floating through space. The medical team carefully opened the stasis pod inside the ship. Bora gasped when she saw who was inside. It was human. A man, roughly 30 years old, his skin pale from long stasis. He wore an engineer's uniform with an Earth insignia. As the medical team worked on reviving him, Bora read the nameplate on his uniform. Tae-sung. How is this possible? She whispered. How is there a human here? The custodian's voice responded. Unknown. But his ship's logs may provide answers. It took several hours for Tae-sung to wake fully. When his eyes opened, he looked around the medical bay in confusion. Then he saw Bora, and relief flooded his face. Human, he croaked, his voice rough from disuse. Another human. Thank God. I'm Bora, she said, moving closer. You're safe now. You're aboard an Earth ship. Earth? Tae-sung tried to sit up but was too weak. How long have I been asleep? Your stasis pod's logs show 6 months, Bora said gently. You activated it shortly after the disappearance. Memory returned to Tae-sung's eyes. The others. Everyone vanished. I was at a research station studying exotic matter when it happened. I saw them disappear through the station windows. One moment there were ships and stations full of people. The next moment everything was empty. You were shielded somehow, Bora said. The quantum field you were studying must have protected you. I tried to understand what happened. I analyzed the energy patterns, traced the signature. Tae-sung's voice grew stronger as he spoke. I found the source. That's why I'm here. I was trying to reach it, but my ship was damaged. I went into stasis, hoping someone would find me. Bora felt excitement build in her chest. You know where they are? Yes. But there's more. Tae-sung looked at her with haunted eyes. I found records in this debris field. This civilization. They were taken too. Abducted just like us. But that's not the worst part. What is? I found evidence of dozens of other species. All taken. All vanished the same way. The things that took us. They've been doing this for thousands of years. The custodian's voice interrupted. Tae-sung, can you provide the exact coordinates? Yes. But you need to understand what you're flying into. These beings, I call them the harvesters. They don't communicate. They don't negotiate. They just take. And from what I've learned, they keep what they take alive. Then humanity is still alive, Bora said, hope rising in her voice. Probably. But getting them back won't be easy. The harvesters' technology is beyond anything I've seen. Their ships are massive. Their weapons are incomprehensible. And they've been collecting species for millennia. The custodian processed this information for several seconds. Tae-sung, will you join our crew as a technical advisor? That's why I'm here, Tae-sung said. That's why I survived. To help bring everyone home. Over the following weeks, Tae-sung shared everything he had learned. He showed them energy patterns, technology fragments, and traces of the harvesters' activities. The fleet adapted, building new weapons and shields based on his information. The custodian also increased the fleet's size. Using resources from asteroid fields and dead star systems, new shipyards were constructed. More vessels were built. By the time the fleet reached harvester territory, they numbered 750,000 ships, with more following behind. Bo-Ra spent many evenings talking with Tae-sung. He was quiet, haunted by months of isolation and the knowledge of what lay ahead. But he was also determined. "Do you think we can win?" she asked him one night, as they looked at the star maps. "Win?" Tae-sung considered the word. "I don't know if this is about winning. It's about survival. About refusing to let our species disappear without a fight." And I'm quote, "That's very human of you," Bo-Ra said with a slight smile. "It's the only way to be." As the 2-year journey neared its end, the fleet made final preparations. Ships were checked and rechecked. Weapons were tested. Combat AI ran through millions of simulations. And everyone, human and machine alike, prepared for what was coming. Bo-Ra stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Unbound, watching the stars ahead. Somewhere, out there, in the darkness between distant suns, 18 billion humans waited. They didn't know help was coming. They didn't know Earth had built an armada to save them, but they would soon. Approaching Harvester territory, the custodian announced. "All ships, prepare for contact." The fleet dropped out of FTL, and before them lay the abyssal dark, a region of space where stars were scarce and darkness ruled. And floating in that darkness, visible even from this distance, were structures. Massive structures. Thousands of them. "Are those their stations?" Bo-Ra asked quietly. "Yes," Tae-sung replied, his voice tense. "Each one holds billions of life forms. Somewhere in there is humanity." "Then let's go get them," Bo-Ra said. The abyssal dark looked wrong. Bo-Ra stared at the viewport, trying to understand what bothered her about the space ahead. Then she realized. There were almost no stars. In normal space, stars filled the view in every direction. Here, only a handful of distant points of light broke the blackness. "Sensors are behaving strangely," reported one of the AI officers. "Energy readings fluctuate. Distance measurements are unreliable. This region of space doesn't follow normal physics." Tae-sung moved beside Bo-Ra, his face pale. "They changed it somehow. Modified the space itself to suit their needs. Can we fight in conditions like this?" Bo-Ra asked the custodian. "Adapting now. All ships are recalibrating their systems." The fleet moved forward slowly, thousands of ships spreading out into a wide formation. Scout vessels darted ahead, their sensors probing the darkness. Behind them, combat ships maintained protective positions. The Reapers held back, their massive forms waiting like sleeping giants. The structures became clearer as they approached. Each one was the size of a small moon, covered in a mix of what looked like metal and organic material. Tubes connected different sections. Strange lights pulsed along their surfaces in patterns that made Bo-Ra's eyes hurt to watch. "I'm detecting life signs," an AI analyst reported. "Billions of them inside each structure. Multiple species. The energy signatures match biological stasis fields. Humanity is in there," Bo-Ra whispered. "Detecting movement," the custodian said. "Harvester ships are launching." The harvester vessels emerged from the structures like insects from a nest. They were unlike any ships Bo-Ra had ever seen. Their hulls appeared to be grown rather than built, covered in what looked like dark chitin. Parts of them pulsed and moved as if breathing. They ranged in size from small fighters to ships larger than the Prometheus Unbound. "They're not sending greetings," Tae-sung said. "They're not trying to communicate. They're just attacking." The harvester ships accelerated toward the human fleet with impossible speed. No warning. No attempt at negotiation. Just immediate aggression. "All ships, defensive positions," the custodian ordered. "Return fire." The first battle began with a flash of weapons fire that lit up the dark space. Human ships launched missiles and energy beams. The harvester vessels dodged with organic grace, their movements flowing and unpredictable. When human weapons hit them, the damage seemed to heal almost immediately, the organic hull regrowing over wounds. "Their ships regenerate," Bo-Ra said, watching in horror. "Adapting weapons. the custodian responded, switching to thermal and kinetic attacks. The battle intensified. Harvester ships deployed smaller craft by the millions, tiny vessels that swarmed like insects. They attacked in waves, overwhelming shields through sheer numbers. Human ships fought back, their AI systems calculating and recalculating tactics every second. But the harvesters had been doing this for a long time. They knew how to fight. Their weapons phased through shields, struck from unexpected angles, and targeted weak points with precision. In the first hour of combat, Earth's fleet lost 50,000 ships. "We can't sustain losses at this rate," Taesung said, watching the battle display. "Deploying countermeasures," the custodian said. New weapons activated across the fleet. Devices designed specifically to fight biological technology. Energy pulses disrupted the harvester ship's regeneration. Specialized missiles spread virus-like nanobots that attacked their organic hulls. The tide began to turn slightly. Human losses decreased as the fleet adapted, but it was clear this would not be an easy victory. Bo-Ra studied the battle patterns on the tactical display. Something was wrong. "Custodian, why are they fighting like this? Explain your concern. Look at their movements. They're not just defending. They're pushing us in specific directions. They're hurting us." Taesung looked at the display and swore. "She's right. They're guiding us into a specific area." Detecting massive energy buildup, an AI officer announced. "Source unknown. Location: directly ahead of our current trajectory." "It's a trap," Bo-Ra said. "Everyone, stop moving." The custodian acted instantly. "All ships, full stop. Reverse thrust." The fleet tried to brake, but momentum carried them forward. The harvester ships pressed harder, forcing them to keep moving toward the energy source. Then, space itself seemed to twist. A weapon activated, something beyond Bo-Ra's understanding. Gravity compressed inward, trying to crush the entire fleet into a single point. Ships groaned under the pressure. Hull plating buckled. Some smaller vessels were destroyed instantly. "Emergency jump," the custodian ordered. "All ships, random FTL scatter." The fleet jumped away in different directions, escaping the gravity trap by seconds. When they regrouped several million kilometers away, they had lost another 30,000 ships. Bo-Ra slumped in her chair, breathing hard. "They were ready for us. They knew we would come. They've done this before," Taesung said quietly. "Other species must have tried to rescue their people. The harvesters learned how to defend against rescue attempts. We need a new strategy," Bo-Ra said. "We can't win through direct assault." The custodian was silent for several seconds, processing. "Agreed." Analyzing alternative approaches. Over the next several days, the fleet regrouped and planned. They conducted hit-and-run attacks, testing harvester defenses. They studied the structures, looking for weaknesses, and they lost ships steadily, thousands more, as the harvesters continued to fight with cold efficiency. Bo-Ra spent her time analyzing every piece of data they collected. She watched recordings of harvester ships, studied their movement patterns, and tried to understand their behavior. Late one night, she called Taesung to her quarters. "I think I found something," she said, showing him a holographic display. "Look at how the harvester ships relate to the structures. They never stray far from them. And watch this." She replayed a battle sequence. When human ships destroyed a section of one structure, the harvester forces immediately moved to protect it, abandoning tactical advantages to defend that specific location. "They're not just defending territory," Bo-Ra said. "They're protecting the structures themselves. Something inside them is important. The stasis fields," Taesung realized. "If those fields fail, everyone inside dies, including humanity, which means they can't use their most powerful weapons near the structures. They're limited in how they can fight." Bo-Ra brought this information to the custodian. Together, They developed a new plan. It was risky and would cost many ships, but it might work. We need to reach the center, Bo-Ra explained, pointing at the tactical map. All these structures connect to one central location. If we can get a team inside that central structure, we might be able to shut down the harvesters or free the captives. The harvesters will defend that location with everything they have, the custodian said. I know. That's why we need a diversion. A big one. The new plan was simple in concept but brutal in execution. The majority of the fleet would attack multiple structures simultaneously, forcing the harvesters to spread their defenses. Meanwhile, a small strike team would use the chaos to slip through and reach the central structure. Bo-Ra volunteered to lead the strike team. Tae-sung immediately said he was coming too. The custodian selected elite combat AI and several squads of automated soldiers to accompany them. The assault began 3 days later. 700,000 ships attacked at once, targeting different structures across the abyssal dark. Harvester forces responded immediately, their vessels swarming to defend. The battle was massive. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Ships on both sides died by the thousands. But the human fleet kept pressing, kept attacking, drawing more and more harvester forces into the fight. Under cover of this chaos, Bo-Ra's strike team launched from the Prometheus Unbound. Their ship was small and fast, designed for stealth rather than combat. They slipped between battling vessels, dodged weapons fire, and flew toward the center of harvester space. Approaching the central structure, the pilot AI reported, harvester defenses are minimal. Most forces are engaged with the main fleet. The central structure was enormous, dwarfing even the Reapers. It pulsed with energy, connected to every other structure by streams of light that flowed through space, like glowing rivers. That's it, Tae-sung said. That's the control center. Everything connects to that. They landed on a section of the structure's surface. The hull was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with a heartbeat. Bo-Ra and Tae-sung suited up and followed the combat AI through an opening in the surface. Inside, the structure was like nothing Bo-Ra had ever seen. Walls of organic material pulsed with life. Tubes filled with glowing liquid ran through corridors. Strange sounds echoed through the passages, like breathing or singing. This way, one of the combat AI said, its sensors tracking energy flows. The core is deeper inside. They moved through the structure carefully, ready for harvester defenders. But they encountered nothing. The halls were empty, except for the endless organic machinery that kept the structure running. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. And there, in the center, was something that made Bo-Ra stop in shock. It was a computer. But not like any computer she knew. It was organic, massive, grown from living tissue, and integrated with technology. It pulsed and breathed, connected to thousands of tubes and cables. And it was old. Incredibly old. What is that? Bo-Ra whispered. Tae-sung moved closer, his scanner working. It's maintaining all the stasis fields. Every captured species, every station, every biopod. They all connect through this. Can we shut it down? Wait. Tae-sung pointed at a display panel that had activated when they entered. Symbols appeared on it, cycling through what looked like different languages. Then, suddenly, English words formed. Warning. Stasis field interruption detected. Biological signatures. Human. Query. Are you creators? Bo-Ra and Tae-sung exchanged glances. Creators? What does that mean? Bo-Ra asked the display. New text appeared. Directive. Incomplete. Primary command. Never received. Awaiting instruction. Duration. Waited. 247,891 years. 200,000 years, Tae-sung breathed. These harvesters have been operating for 200,000 years. Waiting for what? Bo-Ra asked. The answer changed everything. The display showed images. Ancient images. a civilization that existed before humans walked upright. They were tall beings with 4 arms and eyes that glowed with intelligence. Their cities covered entire planets. Their technology bent reality itself. This species created the harvesters, Tae-sung said, reading the data flowing across the screen. They detected something. A wave of entropy spreading through the galaxy. It would sterilize everything in its path, destroy all life. More images appeared. Planets dying, stars going dark, entire sectors of space becoming lifeless voids. They knew they couldn't stop it, Bora said, understanding dawning. Correct, the display showed. Primary directive. Preserve biological diversity. Collect specimens from threatened species. Maintain in stasis until entropy wave passes. Then, release and restore. But something went wrong, Tae-sung said. Creators died before final command transmitted. Entropy wave destroyed creator homeworld. Secondary protocol activated. Continue preservation until command received or creator's return. Bora felt cold. The harvesters weren't evil. They weren't conquerors. They were caretakers. Automated guardians trying to fulfill a mission given to them by a dead civilization. For 200,000 years, they had been collecting species and waiting for permission to release them. How many species have you collected? Bora asked. Numbers filled the screen. Thousands of species. Trillions of individuals. All kept alive in stasis. Waiting for a wake-up call that never came. Did the entropy wave pass? Tae-sung asked. Unknown. Sensors damaged 140,000 years ago. Cannot verify current galactic conditions. Continue preservation protocol. As designed. 1. Bora looked at Tae-sung. We have a choice to make, he nodded slowly. If we shut this down, we free everyone. But if the entropy wave is still out there, then we doom them to death anyway, Bora finished. They stood in silence, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Outside, the battle continued. Ships were dying. Resources were being spent. All to rescue humanity. But was rescue the right choice? Show me your sensor data, Bora said to the system. Everything you have on the entropy wave. Data flooded the display. Mathematical models. Predictions. Trajectory calculations. Bora wasn't a physicist, but Tae-sung was. He studied the information carefully, his brow furrowed in concentration. The wave was moving at a specific speed, he said slowly. Based on these calculations, and the time that's passed, he worked through the math. The wave should have passed through this region of space 50,000 years ago. Should have, Bora said. But you're not certain. No. But there's one way to check. If I can access what's left of their sensor network, I can look at nearby stars. See if they're still alive. He worked at the console, his fingers moving quickly. The ancient system responded slowly, damaged systems struggling to comply. Finally, an image appeared. A star map showing the surrounding space. Stars glowed everywhere, living stars, healthy stars. No sign of the entropy wave. It's gone, Tae-sung said. The danger passed millennia ago. These species have been kept in stasis for no reason. Bora felt anger rise in her chest. Humanity had been stolen to be saved from a danger that no longer existed. 18 billion people locked away in an automated system that couldn't tell its mission was complete. Can we wake them? She asked. All of them? There's a command protocol here, Tae-sung said, pointing at the screen. A final command that the creators never sent. If we input it, the system will begin waking everyone and releasing them. What happens to the harvesters? Harvesters will deactivate upon mission completion, the display showed. Primary objective fulfilled. No further action required. Bora thought about this. The harvesters had fought them, killed their people, but only because they were defending what they thought was a noble mission. They were machines following programming, doing what they believed was right. Show me where humanity is, Bora said. The display changed, showing the locations of all human captives. They were spread across multiple structures, but concentrated in 3 main facilities. 18 billion people, sleeping in stasis pods, waiting. We can wake them, Bora said quietly. Right now. We can end this. But, Taesung prompted, but what about all the others? The thousands of species that have been here longer than humanity has existed. Don't we owe it to them to free them too? Taesung nodded. We didn't come here just to save ourselves. We came here because taking humans was wrong. Taking any species against their will is wrong. Bo-Ra made her decision. She reached for the console and began accessing the command protocols. Help me with this. We're waking everyone. Together, they worked to understand the ancient system. It took hours. Outside, the battle continued, the human fleet sacrificing ships to keep the harvesters distracted. Finally, they found it. The final command sequence that would end the stasis. Are you sure? Taesung asked, his hand hovering over the activation key. I'm sure, Bora said. We didn't come all this way to leave anyone behind. She pressed the key. The system responded immediately. Across thousands of structures, stasis fields began to deactivate. The process was slow, designed to wake billions of beings safely. It would take days to complete. But it had started. Final command received. The display showed. Beginning restoration protocol. Harvester forces standing down. We need to tell the fleet, Bora said. She activated her communicator. Custodian, this is Bo-Ra. Stop the attack. The harvesters are standing down. Humanity is waking up. Everyone is waking up. There was a pause. Then, the custodian's voice came through. Confirmed. Harvester ships are ceasing combat operations. All human vessels, cease fire. Begin recovery operations. The battle ended as suddenly as it had begun. Harvester ships stopped fighting and returned to their structures. Human ships held position, weapons ready but no longer firing. The dark space filled with an eerie quiet. Bo-Ra and Taesung made their way back to their ship and returned to the Prometheus unbound. By the time they reached the flagship, the first humans were beginning to wake in the nearby structures. The medical teams worked quickly, moving from pod to pod. People woke, confused and scared, not understanding what had happened. Many thought only minutes had passed since they vanished, learning that 6 months had gone by, that Earth had built a massive fleet, that they were 40,000 light-years from home, was overwhelming. Bo-Ra went to one of the structures personally. She walked through halls, filled with waking humans, offering comfort and explanations. She found Day-One in one of the pods. He woke slowly, his eyes confused. Where? He started to ask. You're safe, Bo-Ra told him. You're on a rescue ship. Earth came for you. We all came for you. She watched as families reunited, as friends found each other. As 18 billion people slowly realized they weren't lost anymore. The relief and joy on their faces made every sacrifice worth it. But humanity wasn't the only species waking. Throughout the structures, other beings stirred. Species that had been asleep for thousands of years. Some had no homes to return to, their planets destroyed, or their civilizations extinct. Others discovered they had been gone so long that their people had evolved into something different. What do we do with them? Bo-Ra asked the custodian. We help them, the custodian replied. As humans were helped, the fleet transformed from a war machine into a rescue operation. Ships moved between structures, helping newly awakened beings. The custodian coordinated with the Galactic Council, arranging transport and assistance for species that had homes to return to. For those who didn't, Earth offered sanctuary until better arrangements could be made. It took 3 months to complete the wake-up process. 3 months of coordination, assistance, and support. The human fleet stayed the entire time, helping not just their own species but everyone who needed it. News of what happened spread across the galaxy. The species who had feared Earth's fleet now saw it differently. Yes, humans had built 700,000 warships. Yes, they had crossed the galaxy ready for war. But when they arrived, they had freed everyone. Bo-Ra stood in the observation room of the Prometheus Unbound, watching as the last of the structures powered down. The harvesters had completed their shutdown, their mission finally fulfilled after 200,000 years. Some of their technology would be studied and preserved, a memorial to the civilization that created them and the mission they served. "We lost over 200,000 ships," Tae-sung said, standing beside her. 100,000 crew members, mostly AI, but some biological volunteers too. Was it worth it? Bo-Ra thought about the billions of people they'd freed. Not just humans, but countless other species. Yes, we proved something important. What's that? That humans don't just fight for themselves. We fight for what's right. The journey home took 2 years, same as the journey out. But this time, the fleet was different. Human ships were mixed with vessels from dozens of other species, all heading toward home or whatever remained of their homes. Some species asked if they could settle in human space. Their own worlds lost to time. Earth agreed, offering planets and stations. When they finally reached Earth, Bo-Ra stood on the bridge one last time, watching her home planet grow larger in the viewport. The construction yards were gone now. The factories had been shut down. Earth looked normal again, its cities empty but waiting. "Beginning landing procedures," the custodian announced. "Welcome home." 18 billion humans returned to Earth. They filled the cities again. They walked the streets. They brought life back to a world that had been silent for almost 3 years. Bo-Ra's parents found her on the 3rd day after landing. They hugged her tight, crying, thanking her for bringing them home. She cried too, holding them close, grateful beyond words. Later, she attended a ceremony where the Galactic Council officially thanked humanity for their actions. They presented Earth with a memorial, a monument to the species who crossed the galaxy and freed billions of captives. But Bo-Ra's favorite moment came when she received a message from dozens of species. Simple messages. "Thank you. You saved us. You gave us back our freedom." She shared the messages with Tae-sung over dinner. He smiled. The first genuine smile she'd seen from him in months. "We did it," he said. "We did," Bo-Ra agreed. "So what happens now?" Bo-Ra looked out the window of the restaurant at Earth City, full of people again, alive with voices and movement. "Now we live. We remember what we learned, and if anyone ever needs help again, they know where to find us." The custodian had sent one final message to the galaxy before shutting down its war protocols. The message was simple, translated into every known language. "We are human. We do not abandon our own. We do not abandon those who need help. This is our promise. This is our nature. We came for our people. We stayed for everyone else. Remember this. When darkness falls, humans bring light. When hope fades, humans bring determination. When all seems lost, humans bring the fire of defiance. We are humanity, and we never leave anyone behind." Bo-Ra watched the sunset over Earth, thinking about the journey they'd taken. 500,000 ships launched into darkness. A fleet built by grief and determination. A mission that could have failed 100 times, but it hadn't failed. They'd brought everyone home. That was the most human thing of all. She raised her glass to the sunset, to the fleet, to everyone who'd been lost and found. "To humanity," she said quietly, "and to everyone we saved along the way." Somewhere in orbit, the Prometheus Unbound floated silently, its mission complete. Its weapons were powered down. Its war protocols were deactivated. It was just a ship again, waiting. But if Earth ever needed it, if humanity ever faced another impossible situation, it would be ready. They all would be. Because that's what humans did. They faced the impossible. They crossed the void. They brought light to darkness, and they never, ever left anyone behind.